Dorit, I'm so excited to talk to you.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm so glad we finally got a chance to do it. I missed you last time.
I know, and loving the new season. I'm loving it. Don't I like LVP, but I don't think the show is missing anything. I'm just saying that, not asking you to comment on it. Just saying, my feeling is I like the vibe of all you guys together, and of course all the juicy stuff that's going to come. But I first really have like lots of questions about you and PK and how you met and your whole life before the show. I always like to find out, like, how it came about. So first of all, how old were you and where did you meet PK?
We met in New York. I was 35. I had
Wait,
been
how old are you now?
42. 42.
Oh,
3. I might be 43. I don't even know. Oh my
you
God.
may have forgotten during the quarantine. Along with the
I know.
days, we don't know how old we are.
No, I know. Exactly. No, I mean, I really am one of those that believes age is just a number. And after like the age of 21, really, or maybe 38, you just stop counting.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I was 35. I was engaged twice before him. I
What
had my
happened
own
there?
company.
Wait, what happened with what did those
Great
follow through?
guy, two great guys that, a woman, we have instincts, and I just felt like I couldn't see forever with them. But they're
Hmm.
wonderful men, and I made a difficult choice because I was never really one of those women that was like couldn't wait to get married and have children. I had my own career and I had my own business at the time. Um, so I kind of put, like love on the back burner and focused on my company. I had Dorit International, which was an international swimwear resort wear line brand, and I was manufacturing in Italy and overseas. So I was traveling a lot. And then I had a business meeting one night. Um, Last minute, one of the people that I was having a meeting with said his cousin surprised him, came in from town and wanted to bring him. And I said, no problem, I'll bring a girlfriend. And so I had this business meeting. And then to sort of thank my girlfriend, I said, let's just go across the street and have a drink. By the way, I lived in New York City. I don't know if I told you that, but
Yeah.
so in New York City. And wasn't supposed to be there, went there for a drink. We were at the bars in a very busy bar. Actually, we filmed there, funny enough, this season in New York City, called Lavo. And it got really busy and you couldn't get to the bar. My girlfriend and I were there, and then PK and a couple of friends, they wanted to get into to order a drink and they couldn't, and they asked my girlfriend and I, would you mind ordering us a drink, and we're happy to get you one. And I just said, no, don't worry, we'll order it for you. And because it's a long story, I feel like the stars were in line. And I know that sounds a little corny, but there were probably a half a dozen times as I realized after I got to know PK that him and I were probably in the same room or within a few feet of one another. I
No,
found out that,
no, I was gonna say that's so crazy because with my husband, that was something too that we realized after we met, because we both lived in Brentwood earlier before we met, and we knew the same people. So I'm like, I bet we were at a party together, but at that time you probably had a girlfriend, and I never even looked in that direction or whatever. So I do think that's really interesting when you figure that out.
it's wild. I mean, one of the most interesting things is that my office, my first office for Dorit International was 183 Madison Avenue. And come to find out, 6 months into my relationship with PK, he owned that building. So I was paying rent to him. I mean, little would I know, my future husband. It's wild. So really from there, when we have more time, I could get into the specifics. It kind of happened from there. And I knew quite quickly there was just something very different about the connection I had with him. And I mean, he's my soulmate. To me, he's my soulmate.
So from when you met at that night at Lavo, which by the way, when I saw Lavo in the show, I was like, oh, they have one in Vegas, and that, not that it's not happening now, but that was like the real hot spot, probably the night you met, like the newer, hotter place. And
Totally.
so how soon, like, after that meeting and like initial date, were you guys like full on couple on the road to marriage?
Well, we didn't really go on our first date for a couple of months. We had gone out in a group because we knew some people in common. So we had been out with a group of people a couple of times, and he was living in California at the time. I was still in Manhattan, and then we went on our first official date probably a couple of months after we met, and we kind of knew that there was something between us, because it wasn't love at first sight at all. It was just great banter. And as I got to know him, I really started to feel like this connection with him. And then I would say after our first date, we were pretty much inseparable after that.
Yeah, and I think it was fun on the show, and I don't know where it was in the show, but I remember there was like this moment where we realized, or the girls realized, that PK's name was Paul. And I felt
Yeah.
like it was that kind of funny moment from Sex and the City where all of a sudden you see that John has called Carrie and you're like, oh, his name is John. Like we called him Big this whole time. So it was like PK. You're like, yeah, well, his real name is Paul. So my question is, do you call him Paul ever?
Never, ever, ever. I've never, ever once called him Paul in 10 years. It's crazy. I know. I
That
know.
is kind
It's
of
wild.
funny.
Yeah.
And when did he start calling himself PK? Like back in school or his whole life?
Back in London, pretty much when he was like at the height of his, I think his business, he had a very, very, very successful real estate business that he built from the ground up, and he built it to almost $2 billion business. And he was kind of known as PK, which is Paul Kemsley. It's just, it's became a nickname um, when he was rolling with his buddies.
Yeah.
And then when I met him, he introduced himself as PK, and his friends called him PK. And really, only the people that, like his family or friends that he's had from like 30 or 40 years, which there are a good amount, call him Paul. But even they have started adapting. So, I mean, he's been PK for, I'd say, 20 plus years.
And so, and he was married before because you're a stepmom to three, right?
Yes.
And
Yes, I
where are
have
the,
three sons married. One of them is in LA. He's got one boy and two girls. So the oldest girl is here in LA. She did makeup school here, which I helped her get into and find that passion. She's a very talented makeup artist working here in LA. The youngest is still in school. She's going to go off to college next year, so she's in London with her mom. And the oldest boy did study in New York when we were there, and then chose to go back to London. So he's working there, freelancing. He's in film and entertainment, so he likes being there. I think he'll also find his way back to LA at some point.
and it sounds like you have a good relationship with them now. And you mentioned them, or I can't remember if have we ever seen them on the show, like at the 50th birthday or no?
No, and I'm very respectful to them and to their mother, and they don't really want to be a part of it, and that's not a world, that, and we would never force that on them. So if and when they ever want to be, they can, but up until before they were the age of 18, which my oldest girl stepdaughter is just 19, so their mother didn't want them on the show, and I fully respect and appreciate that.
And so now let's talk about how the show came about. Now, were you a fan? Did you watch it prior to them approaching you?
I had watched it when it first came out, and then I was busy having children for years, and I lost touch. So when they approached me, I was like, "No, absolutely not." I said to my husband, and then he kind of encouraged me to, consider it. And then next thing you know, when they're like, "Okay, well, you're the new housewife," you're like, "Oh my God, wait a minute, can I say no now?"
And
Um,
how did they find you? Was it through Lisa recommending you, or?
no, it wasn't actually. George, PK, and I were going to do a reality show when George had just come to America. And so we did a pilot, and Bravo and E and all the networks had seen it. And then George, he got on The Voice in the UK, so he went back to the UK. And then I think that's how Bravo somehow reached out and said, would she ever consider interviewing for Housewives?
Yeah. So that's great. Yeah, you were on their radar and they're like, okay, this is good. Your hair
Yeah,
looks
we just moved to LA. I think we were here for maybe 6 months. So.
And that's the house that we saw you this whole time. In that
Yeah.
house, that like multi-level house. And you moved
Yes.
into your new house in Encino, and you got to see that, and you called it the modern farmhouse. Well, I'm in Woodland Hills. So so there's a lot of homes in and around the whole area where they're old and they're being redone, and they're being done in that cool style. And you walk in and it's just like such a great breath of fresh air because it's designed for the way a family lives today versus these older valley ranch homes. And so I do love it.
Love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. It's wonderful. It's a great family house. It really speaks to us in so many different ways, and it's great for the kids. And yeah, I'm really loving it.
Yeah, I mean, with your kids being their age, I can imagine having that flat backyard with the pool and the place that is much more ideal than that Beverly Hills, like, kind of death-defying driveway, all that they had there. Yeah. So wait, now how old are the kids right now? Your boys,
6.
your boy and girl, Jagger and Phoenix. How old?
Jagger's 6, Phoenix is 4.
And do you think you will have any more?
Probably not.
What if you just
Probably
get
not.
knocked up? What if you just get knocked up by mistake, like Teddy?
I mean, listen, if it happens, by all means. We have 5 collectively.
Right.
I would have 10. I have to be honest. I mean, I've said to my husband, I would just keep going and going. And I think if I was younger, I would, but I'm equally so grateful, so happy, and everything is so wonderful and perfect. But no, I would not balk an eye if I, were to get knocked up and have another baby. I'd love it.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at your hair right now, and it's like long and pretty. So now this is your hair. This is not a wig, right? Or is it a wig?
This is not a wig. I don't wear wigs, Heather. I wear clip-in extensions from time to time, but I don't wear wigs ever.
So when you make it look like a straight bob, how do you do that?
I have an incredible hairstylist, Justine Marchand. She'll braid up the back. I mean, I did, second season, I cut my hair short. So that's when I was doing a lot of the bobs. But I braid up the back and then add pieces. It's like a little trick that she has. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense, because I'd always be like, wait a minute. It doesn't look like a wig, but how could she change her style this much? So I'm impressed. Now, how are you dealing without having a glam squad?
It's fine. I mean, listen, it's not that, I can't do it myself. I have to clean myself up and look presentable when I'm doing these interviews. My hairstylist is posting fantastic hair tutorials, so it's fun. I get to play a little bit. Same with makeup. Obviously, I'm not going all out, but it's okay. And usually a lot of the times that I do glam is because I'm so busy doing other things. It gives me a chance to also work even during that time. And we're not filming, it's good.
Well, I mean, I think I do my own hair and makeup and stuff, but if I was in a position like you where you're calling hair and makeup over, I think the fun is to change up your look a lot, and I think for you, that's something that we've gone to really kind of enjoy, like, oh, this different thing. And you had this like snake earring I saw on your Instagram, like went around your ear, and like, if you're going to go and be on TV and go to some, Sutton, whatever it was, her store opening, it's like, it is kind of, and that's your thing. It's not Teddy's thing, but it's your thing. And I think that's kind of cool that we get to see that, all the different looks. I loved that black dress you were wearing.
Thank you.
Thank
you. It's fun for me. I enjoy it. And I think if you're the type of person that enjoys it, you do it. And those that don't, there's no right or wrong. I've always sort of enjoyed it, and I have a great platform to do it. But it's a place and a space that I can create, which, you know, I'm an artist and, you know, a designer. I enjoy doing those things, and I create, you know, a look, an outfit, and then the hair comes, and then, but not in a theatrical way, more in kind of what fits into my personality. It's just stepping outside of like what I would ordinarily do on you know, a given day. Obviously, we'd have to be going to a party or a function to kind of step it up just a little bit more.
And with your getting into back to Beverly Beach, I also thought it was really interesting because we saw you bringing back that you're going to do start to design your get back into fashion designing again and start with the bikini and bathing suit line. I thought it was interesting that PK was like no to change the name kind of in the final hour, and you were sort of annoyed that he was like this should be called Beverly Beach, but it really is a great name. It is a better name. What was it supposed to be?
Nava, which is my daughter's middle name, which I've always had this. It means like really beautiful, special in Hebrew, and I love the word, and I thought it was a great name for a swimwear line. But he's absolutely right, and you know what people also didn't realize is that if I didn't want to, I wouldn't have changed it. I knew it was the right decision. That's why it became Beverly Beach. But I also love that I have that with PK where, I mean, he's a businessman and I'm a businesswoman, and we bounce ideas off of one another. I mean, everything crosses my desk. You know, him and I are constantly giving our opinions to one another. Sometimes we don't agree, a lot we don't agree, but each of us has the ability to stop and think about it and look at the full picture and realize what is actually best. And I knew that at that time that was just, it felt more right. So
right. And with I'm sorry, what'd you say?
No, I have all of these ideas. There's a ton of things I would love to do. I'd love to do a children's line, and you know, I thought if and when I do a children's line, I have a name that I would like to use for that. And so, I mean, I felt like for this particular brand, it felt right.
And so you have with Beverly Beach, you have all the bikinis and all of that, and then the kind of the like resort activewear. Would you ever go another step into more everyday wear, or you know, broaden it?
I'd love to. Yes, I'd love to. I mean, Heather, I absolutely, I can see myself doing, you know, a lot of different things within the Beverly Beach brand. And I think that it's just a matter of, you know, walking as opposed to running, because this way you can do things right. But I for sure see it in as a lifestyle brand. And I love leisure wear. Obviously, you know, I love fashion. You know, we'll see. I'm working on a few different things. Quarantine has slowed things down, but I definitely see it building and expanding and growing. So,
and with, you know, it was fun to see you help Kyle with her fashion line. And did you have to walk in the shoes that were 2 sizes too big, or could you wear the shoes you came in?
No, I had to. I walked in them and with no padding or anything. They were so big. They were like 2 sizes too big. And I just remember walking thinking, oh my God, keep your feet like all the way to the very edge. Yeah, that was a moment of worry for a little while, but yeah, but I got through it.
Yeah, and I thought you came off great, like helping her and also her asking for your help, like, you know, knowing that like, okay, I haven't done this and I am nervous. And so I thought that was really kind of cool to see that, you know, the things I'm starting to enjoy this season is like the real friendship group that's now like forming that we see. And I thought a perfect example of that was Teddy. This is what I related to I have 2 groups of friends, one from high school, one from college. And, you know, where it'll be somebody's thing. And then you're like, okay, this, you know, like exactly with Teddy, she invites you guys to her thing. And now there's a TV element to it. So it's like, she may have thought, I better invite them. Or maybe if they come, you know, we get the cameras there. Maybe if they don't, but I don't want them to take away. I don't know. But she asks. And then because of the way like Lisa Rinna kind of was trying to be nice, but like I think you have to be a little more specific about, hey, why don't you guys just come for this portion, then she got all defensive and was like, I really don't care if any of you guys come. Like, and I liked Teddy and I could relate to that, her behavior as well. But then all you guys kind of being like, well, now we don't know what the fuck to do,
Oh, yeah. I mean, the thing with Teddy's invites is that she's trying to cover all the bases. She's trying to be like the super chill, easy, super. Whereas if it was just herself and say, listen, I'm having this, just say it. But you can't really dance around or say, yeah, I'm having this. I'd love you to come if you want to come, and only come for what you want to, and don't worry if you can't. And I will. And then all of a sudden it becomes a little convoluted and it's hard to follow, and you're nervous because wait a minute, if I don't come, would she be upset? Or you want to be there because you want to witness all these great things that she's doing, but you may not want to do some of the classes. But you feel like you have the freedom to make those decisions, but then when you make them, it's like, oh my God, wait a minute, you might have to pay for this. So there's a lot of left to interpretation, and that's where it gets a little scary. So yeah, that becomes a thing.
I know, but I found that to be like a relatable dynamic with certain friends, where it's like you can't win, if you have a friend that, she's like, I don't know if I can make it, and then you really push her, then she's like, you're stressing me out. But then if you don't push her, she's like, well, obviously you didn't want me there. Like, it's not that, I'm not saying that's Teddy, but I'm saying it's that dynamic of like, I really don't know how to win in this situation, and it's, so I thought that was just kind of like a fun thing to watch. And it's like, well, why am I even bothering trying to go?
I know that. I think that when, at the point that you're rearranging, and it was far, I mean, this was.
Yes, I know.
So
I was saying, my God, you guys are in LA area, and to get to Laguna pre-corona, that could take like 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours. Yeah. Which is why because I thought it's super chill and it's super easy. So you can come whenever. It's a very long day, and somewhere even stay. And my husband was out of town, and, I had the children. I didn't want to leave before they woke up, and I didn't want to come back after they had gone to bed. And it's, so my kids are at that age right now where if they don't see me or I go out, and I'm filming, they get really upset. And it's a tough thing to deal with. But I thought, well, this is great because she's super chill about it. I'll come a little bit later. I'm going to come before lunch or after lunch, and I'll leave. But I'm there for 5-6 hours. I mean, that's, a good amount of time. But you'll see what happens.
Okay, good. And speaking of your kids, I mean, I'm watching you great Instagram, and you guys are like, doing lots of fun, cute dancing and everything together. And, I was thinking your kids, this must be like the happiest time of your kid's life.
I mean, I have to say, everything is very scary and uncertain around us. And, that's the part that makes it very challenging. But we're together as a family, and we're with the kids. Of course, the virtual learning is difficult, and they're at those ages where, Jagger's 6 years old. I'm asking him now, he's up to 5 Zoom classes a day. It's hard to have him to sit there, and then we have to do the work. So that part, but yeah, we're together as a family, and I'm very grateful for that. So the first few weeks, it was really a matter of, let's try and figure out ways to be creative and enjoy. And we were finding all of these really fun ways to pass the time. So it's been pretty incredible. As a family, it's been great for us.
Yeah, I think, I feel the same way. Like, of course, I wake up and I'm stressed, and, how long is this going to last? And, I can imagine with all of our businesses, you're not filming, you're not, traveling. PK is, his business has changed and he's home, and like everybody, in my situation, I normally am traveling twice a month doing stand-up. That's all gone, but then there's that other aspect of like, my kids are similar age difference, but they're older. They're 17 and 14. And it's just when my sons were kind of like not hanging out as much and kind of growing apart, they're like literally like, let's play baseball in the backyard. And I'm like, and then when they get in a fight, I'm like, well, you only have each other. I might be the only woman you ever see again in your life. It's like, better be nice to me because I don't know how long this is gonna last. But there's been that aspect of it where I'm like, yeah, being and of course we're really, really lucky. No one's sick, and we have a pool, and we have an area to walk around. And but yeah, there's those kind of things where I'm like, yeah, is the education probably being compromised? Yeah, they're probably not learning as much as they should, but who cares? Like, yeah.
Also, I think about it, Heather. Can you think back to high school? How much did you retain from there, and what really did we use in our lives after that? I
No,
mean, and that's your kid age. I mean, mine, yeah, of course, I feel like it's super important that they're learning their numbers and the addition and subtraction, and we'll continue to do it. But I don't even put the pressure on myself or on them that if they miss this or they don't do this entirely, it's like, you know what? You've got to do what you can. And I think that's so gives me chills when you say about your boys in the backyard playing baseball together and they have this time together. There's something really magical and special about it. And I think that there's like a reason for it.
yeah, I mean, like
So
we play Scrabble and and all that kind of stuff that we did before, but now it's like we really do it. We really go on these bike rides and all this stuff. And yeah, and so there is, and also in like for my kids being at like a vulnerable age where like they I'm always was scared every time they left for school. I'd be like, don't do drugs, don't vape, don't do anything wrong in the bathroom with somebody, don't and then I'm like, and don't get shot. I mean, sadly I'd say that just because I thought if I said it, what's the chances? And it's like, so there is this great time of like, okay, hopefully this will just be this isolated period in all of our lives that then we'll look back on and have some fond memories. So
I
it's like, I think that part's really cool. And it's like, and so but when I saw you guys doing the dancing and everything, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize either as a mom, like how hard I went for like 12 years of traveling and going. And I think I would think, oh, I'm home for 3 days. That's some nice downtime. What the fuck, And then I'm like, and so I'm almost like when things do get back to normal, I'm a little bit like, I'm going to really, like, I'm like journaling it and stuff so that when things get back to normal, I don't overschedule that stuff or coming home from something and then still trying to make like someone's baby shower. I should probably miss that. There's certain things and I think it's hard too. And your job is, to be social so many months a year with these women. And so like, that's another aspect of, you're supposed to share your real life. And it's like, well, if you want to blow something off because as a mom, you would choose to be with your kids, but then you're not there for the for the housewife in bed.
exactly. I
So
know.
that's,
I mean, that is definitely the challenging part of this, particularly with the kids at the age that they are in, where I feel like I'm so afraid for time to just, Jagger, I remember him like this little bubble, in my arms, and now he's like he's 6, and it's just he's like a whole different child, he's like a young man, really. I know it sounds silly, but he was always like a baby version of himself, even up until he went to kindergarten. And it's I try to like hold on to and savor and remember all of these moments, and it sort of tugs at my heartstrings, when you are a working mom and you have to balance the work and mom life, and you feel guilty, and then you try and tell yourself that you're also showing them a good example. And I go through all of those emotions, but at the end of the day, I put my kids first and my family first. They will always come first. And until I can't figure out a way to manage, or I think that it's unhealthy the way things are going, I can figure out how to continue to manage it. It's not easy.
No, I just remember like coming home from something and all of a sudden my youngest, my husband had taught him to take a shower. And I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, I was like, what? The bath is over with? Like, I'm like, it was like, no, it's just easier. It's like, I'm like, what the fuck is he doing taking a shower? It's my baby. It's like those type of things where they do all of a sudden you're like, how did this happen? Okay,
Yeah.
I have some question from the fans. Okay, is it true that you exist without carbs?
No, God, no. Never have, never will. I love carbs.
What is your workout routine? Because you have great legs.
I love wearing heels. I think that attributes to the legs. You know, I don't have a very specific routine. I like easy exercises. I'm not somebody who is. I'm not getting up every single morning at the crack of dawn and doing, exercise. I will always opt for stairs as opposed to an elevator if I can. I'll try and do those things because I've never really enjoyed going to the gym or doing like heavy exercise. I try and do it within my life. Um, but floor exercises, and I'll go like 2 months and get into something specific, and then I'll get out of that. And so some stretches or exercises that I see on Instagram, I'll follow. I like watching Hilaria Baldwin's exercises that she'll do because they're really quick and easy, and I always feel like it helps.
Oh,
Um,
good.
that's kind of my regimen, if I'm honest.
And so some people saying, we talk about how you have the English accent, but it's some people believe that's fading a little this season.
Yeah, I mean, Heather, we're back to that whole, this whole idea of my accent, and it's put on and it's fake and it's this.
I don't think it is. First of all, I don't think it is. I think because there's some people that pick up what's in their surroundings, and there's others that don't. Like my dad came from New York and had no accent his whole life, and then we would meet some 80-year-old man that came over here and lives in Encino since he was 20, and he sounds like he just stepped off the Brooklyn Bridge. So I do see how that can happen. So I'm not being critical of it. I just was wondering is maybe because you've been, in one place for so long, and PK now has been here for a long. Maybe he's losing it a little. I don't know, but it
I
feels
mean,
like it.
yeah, I mean, listen, I've always had a knack for languages. I speak 5 languages. My parents don't have American accents. I spent 10 years living in Europe. My husband is British, whatever, and I don't hear it, and he doesn't hear it. And even funny enough, none of the Brits that I know that I deal with on a daily basis say, "Oh my God, you speak like you're from England." So it's, I've heard it for the last 4 years. First year it was like, oh my God, and especially the idea that I'm faking an accent or putting on an accent. And now it's like, I don't really pay attention. I couldn't tell you if it's there, if it's not there, if it's fading, I can't even speak to it because I don't hear it. I don't think before I speak. I don't try and, speak a certain way. I think I would definitely be influenced by who I'm surrounded by, because I think that that's the way my ears or the way I hear things, because it's how I'm able to pick up languages so
Mm-hmm.
easily. But I couldn't, the only thing I could say to the fan is I can't tell you, um, you know, anything, whether it is or isn't, or speak to it.
No, I think that totally makes perfect sense because it is true. Some people pick up stuff like because I can do voices and stuff. I notice, but you see it too. Like there, even with Meghan Markle, I noticed that she started to pick it up a little bit. Her voice changed a little because she's around it. How can you not? And then other people, like I said, won't pick up anything and they'll remain the way they sounded at 18 when they're 80. So I find that interesting. But I can see, of course, when you open yourself to a platform like this, you get the amount of like hate and criticism that you guys get, and some people can roll with it and become stronger, and other people crack. And like besides like that, what has been some of the best things about being famous, being recognized when you go out, and what's been the worst?
I think and I've only ever had love. People come up to me and say the nicest, sweetest things. And, that always touches me. And particularly if it's someone, if they, I've had people say that they were in a bad place or recovering from surgery or what have you, and certain things got them through, or, that always touches me. I was never really one that would ever think I would have been famous or had the idea where I wanted to be. I didn't. I think that the first couple of years of doing the show was a whirlwind for me, for us. Thank God, I had PK, that he's got somewhat of a level head, and we got through it, and stronger and better. And I learned a lot about myself, and I learned how to kind of grow that thicker skin that I didn't know I would ever be able to grow. And now, I roll with it. I know the nature of the show and the nature of this world, and you have to kind of take the good and the bad, and you have to just be who you are, and and figure out how to navigate truth.
Now, what season are we watching that you've been on? How many seasons have you done, including this one?
I finished four. So
was there any time throughout that, the ups and downs, that you considered ending it or not coming back?
Oh, for sure. I would say after every single year. I swear to you, after every year, I was like, no, I am not cut out for this. I don't like it. I don't want to do this. This is, every year, I would say. And somehow or another, I ended up doing another season. And, with that being said, too, I think some people, it clicks for them early on. For me, I went into it very much like, okay, well, we're just going to be ourselves. And I didn't really realize that, there's ways in which, you can be portrayed, even if they have all of the stuff and they just decide to use something, all of a sudden you become this person, this character. So, I mean, I my eyes are open, and I think that that's how you have to be in this world, and you have to just kind of roll with the punches.
And do you like how, does PK like how he's been portrayed, or you guys have been portrayed as a couple?
No, not at all. Not at all. And I think that it's particularly, maybe more so for him, because he's a man who's done a lot in his life, and he's a really, really kind-hearted, good, sweet, gentle, smart man. And I think that they don't show a lot of those sides to him. And that's what's unfortunate, I think, both for him and for me, and I get a bit sad about it, because, when you love somebody and people have a certain image of them, and it's so far from the truth, it hurts you. But I know who he is, and everyone that knows him knows who he is.
As a viewer, one thing that I've gotten from it is that I think you guys are portrayed as having a really strong marriage, and that he really has your back. And, and some people might, in the beginning be like, oh, PK's too involved, but I like that he's one of the few husbands that we see, because a lot of them we don't see at all. And I think that's an interesting dynamic to see, a marriage dynamic. And sometimes people only want to see the ones that are on a verge of getting divorced, and then they get divorced, and yeah. They'll show those cracks, or they'll show that husband anytime he's a dick, they'll show it. And the one time that he brought her coffee, we will never see, so it's like, there's those couples in the other franchises and stuff. And so it's like, I think it's, like Kyle and Mauricio, I think they have a good marriage, and there's no way to hide that they have a good marriage. Like, there's no negative part to show, so we don't see anything negative. And also Lisa and Ken, very committed to one another, and we'd see that. And so, yeah, I think that part, I think is cool. But now, did you ever get scared, being that there is a terrible curse of divorce as a result of being on this show, the whole show in general, all the cities?
I would say that for sure never frightened me, scared me, or worried me, because I think that happens only when it's a marriage that already has cracks,
mm-hmm.
And you're living in something like this, which is going to highlight all of those, and it's just going to, it's going to make that happen quicker. PK and I have a very strong marriage, and a great relationship, and it's, based on trust and respect and love, and you can't crack that. you know? So the show is never going to do it. If anything, the things that we've gone through together have made us stronger. And that is actually, you know, the pressures that we've had or we've faced, or, you know, negative press or headlines, you know, if that's not going to break you, then, you know,
Yeah.
you know, we've actually come out stronger, and, you know, we go through life together. That's the way we have our life. You know,
I appreciate that that you guys are kind of breaking the fourth wall as a show, and that you did bring up all these things that we saw in the press, business things and lawsuit things. And, you know, was that something that you guys kind of decided together? Like, okay, let's just like have it come from us and show that part of our life a little bit more? Or how did that come about that you decided to answer those questions on the show?
Well, I got a lot of pressure from the network, truthfully, because there's all of these headlines. And, you know, I took a stance at some point after it was, you know, one BS headline after another. I just took a stance that I'm not going to try and defeat every headline, because then all I'm doing is chasing my tail. No, people are going to write what they want. And for a period of time, I couldn't really talk about certain things. So I had my hands tied behind my back. And then when it was all over, it felt like, okay, listen, let's put all of these rumors to bed once and for all. And we did decide together that we were going to do it. But, you know, it's always tricky because you're doing a show and they want to make things a little bit more like salacious. So it's like, well, wait a minute, you know, it's as simple as, this is not true, this is not true, this is not true, this has been written about us. You know, what actually comes out in the show, because we talked a lot more about, you know, some of the details, and none of those things made the edit. So, you know, but we covered it, and, you know, hopefully it's like behind us. And it is. I mean, that part of us, that part of our lives, and it is behind us. So it's nice and refreshing to be able to speak about it and to say that. And what they decide to show, it's, you know, it's obviously up to them.
And I mean, as someone that's been through some stuff, I can't imagine how stressful that time was. So I'm glad that it's behind you guys. Now, do you watch Real Housewives of New York?
I don't, but I feel like I should be, because I'm hearing that it's pretty.
Well, they get really wild. They're very entertaining, just as you guys are, but in a different way, which I like. I like that these franchises have their own, like, you know, vibe. They got real wasted, got naked, jumping in the pool. I mean, full naked, like badge out with a fuzz on it for the cameras. And it was extremely entertaining for me. But I thought about how we really haven't seen, you know, you guys get that way. So certainly we've never seen you. We saw Kyle and Teddy get pretty buzzed after all the wine drinking, the rosé drinking, which anyone can relate to. And, you know, especially, and that was fun too. But I don't think we've ever seen you. And we know that you like alcohol, you like your stemware, which, by the way, I could relate to that too. Because you remember when wine glasses they first started to try to give you like wine in a restaurant without a stem, and then it would like get warm, and then, you know, or a masonry jar. I'm like, I don't want to drink out of a jam jar. I don't get, you know. So I love that you like went through that. And so we know that you like your champagne and a flute, and, you know, your Chardonnay and your rosé in the correct glasses. So how is it that you've, you know, are you conscious of it, or are you just someone that never gets real drunk?
Well, I definitely had that infamous moment where I called a certain someone a name, and that was after a lot of tequila, which I don't usually drink tequila.
Now, wait, have we seen that, or that's coming up?
Yeah, yes. No, that was it 2 seasons ago? 2 seasons ago at Kyle's dinner party.
Oh, Camille.
Yes.
You're right, you did. Okay, so that was based on too much day drinking prior.
Well, yeah, I mean, Heather, it was 110 degrees outside. I arrived for whatever reason an hour before everyone else to Kyle's dinner. I almost think that it was planned now. And her electricity went out. So we were in like the heat outside, and I was drinking and drinking and drinking. That was the very end of the night. I mean, I, you know, saw back. Lisa had her hand over my mouth, and PK was I mean, that was after a few too many drinks for sure. I will say that in the last few years, particularly with the kids, and so I can't really handle more than a few drinks if I am going out, because I suffer so much the next day. So I don't really get plastered like I did once upon a time, because I know the kids need me and I've got to be up, and and for some reason the hangovers get really, really, really bad in your 40s.
Yes, I
So
totally agree. And I can imagine, we've all been there where you kind of wake up and you're hungover and you're like having flashbacks of the night before, like, did I say that? Did I do that? But yours is completely exaggerated because you're like, fucking cameras were there.
totally,
That must,
totally. Oh yeah, I remember when Lisa Vanderpump told me the next day, she's like, you called Camila, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, I was just joking. I mean, they'd never air that. Come on, but that's so out of context. And she's like, okay, newbie. Well, not only are they going to air it, but you'll see, you'll have a whole season around it. And sure enough. So yeah, I definitely have been wasted on camera.
and speaking of Camille, you did eventually make her a bikini, right? Or a cover up, or did you never make it?
Yes, yes. That was before I did, but that was before I kind of had enough, to be honest with you.
And we don't see her this season, correct?
Very, very, very briefly, but yes, you do. There's definitely, it was a little bit open-ended and then you don't see her, and so there's a little moment.
And then do you think you're going to hold off before you make a Garcelle and a Sutton suit, or have you decided you like them enough that they get a suit?
I think I definitely like them enough for them to have a suit. And I almost think that if you can get through a year on this show, you have earned yourself a suit. So yeah, maybe we'll see in the future.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. Let me see if there's anything else. I feel like we really got a lot. Oh, speaking of LVP, I know that Kyle ran into it at a very tiny restaurant where the waiters sat them right next to each other. And that's always awkward when you've had a friendship that now it's been, a long time since you've spoken to that person. Have you run into her at all in the city?
I have not, shockingly. I have not. But actually it's not so shocking, because I don't really, I guess maybe a couple of restaurants we would have maybe bumped into, but no, I have not run into her. I have not.
Okay. I don't want to get into all that, but I just want to know if you run into her. Let me see if there's anything. Oh, do you ever get, this is from a fan, do you ever get free clothes from Chanel, Gucci, or even how about a discount? Can you get a discount? You're shaking your head. No?
No free clothes. To be honest with you, I like to buy my own things when people, and I think that the big designers anyway, certainly haven't reached that status where I'm getting free Chanel or free designers. But if I ever do, I can tell you that's when I know this has all been worth it.
Yeah.
But no, and not sometimes, because I'm a frequent shopper, I might get dips on something that comes out first, if I want it. But no, all of those things, all bought and paid for.
And I know that you're going to say that you have, but I assume before you hit it big, have you ever had to shop on a budget?
Sure, of course.
And what's your tip for shopping on a budget? What would you tell someone of how to do that to, get a great look for a less of a price?
Well, the really amazing thing is now there is this fast fashion, there is these budgeted, these styles that you see, they're knockoffs of the runway. I mean, it is those styles, those designs at a very budget friendly price. So you can shop in the Zara's and the, places like that. I like searching online and seeing, I love fashion. So for me, that's like my turn off. I get to like relax and zoom out. So I'll have a look, and I think it's easy to, shop find thrift shops. I used to love to do that as well. Find like a little piece and then build an outfit around that. Mix
Do
and
you do
match.
that
But I
with
think it's,
do you do that with like couture stuff? Do you ever do like the
oh,
secondhand stuff?
oh yeah. And I love the high low. And I love vintage, love. Um, so I love to kind of, when something really pulls me in, you know, gets my creative juices, I kind of build a whole look around that. And it could be a little piece, whether it's a, you know, vintage Chanel earrings or a necklace or a bag. Um, Shoes are the only thing vintage that I kind of steer away from. I don't know why. If you're an ultra good and not really worn much, but that's the only thing that I'm not really drawn to. But everything else, I love a good vintage. I feel like they've had a story, this amazing story, and then the story's going to carry on, you know, and have a new life with me,
Well, I
you
have
know,
a
and
question.
particularly
When you guys went to Florence and you guys couldn't bring your glam squads, you and Erica Jane, who normally travel with a few other girls or guys, is that
yeah.
because there wasn't room in the house and no other place for them to stay? Why did that happen that you guys weren't able to bring your people on that trip?
In Provence.
Provence, yeah.
Yeah, the network didn't want us to. They wanted to see us au natural and doing it ourselves and just bound together as a group with no outsiders. Um, you know, and it really wasn't easy because we were in a house in the middle of nowhere. They wouldn't have been able to stay in the house. And I think that the nearest hotel was like 45 minutes. So it made sense all around. I think initially Eric and I were both like, but you know, this is a choice that we make. It's on our dime and we like to do it. And but I think it made sense, you know, in the end. It didn't make sense for them to come and it was fine. It was that
Yeah.
kind of trip.
Okay, I think oh, let me see. Oh, did you come up with the saying carcass out when you asked for your limes and you ordered your drink and you said, I'd like 3 limes, carcass out, meaning just the juice, don't throw the squeezed lime in the drink, because I thought that was like genius and I never heard it before.
Yes, that, you know, I was thinking about it because I've been saying it for years, like 20 years. And I was thinking, when did I, and I think it was, I studied in Florence when I was about 19 years old. And one of the kids, American kids that was also studying there that I became very good friends with, I think we were out when we used to go out into the bars, the pubs in Florence. One of us started saying it, I don't know, and it became this kind of thing because it was like, you know, it's after the juice from the lemon has been squeezed, it's like, that's it. There's nothing left of it, you know, it's not alive anymore. So, so I mean, I think that's where I started saying it. I don't even know which one of us, but I've been saying it forever.
And they just caught it now.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Because I feel like they do spend so much time on people ordering, whether it's food. Like I'm always like, okay, I got that you're at, you know, the restaurant, but like, do I need to hear? Oh, but they do it with all the shows. So I'm like, maybe that just adds to the authenticity of the afternoon or whatever it might be. Okay, one last question. When I was talking about the Real Housewives of New York girls jumping in the pool naked, you see in other reality shows where some of the women just start getting so comfortable, almost like if you were like in a play, you know, when you're in a play and even though they're straight guys, you just stop caring that you're in like bra and underwear because you're like, you know, backstage doing something. Do you think that you would ever feel that comfortable to just like take off your clothes and get in the shower and have them fuzz it out?
No! Oh my goodness, no! I don't even walk around naked in front of my own mother. I am like so shy when it comes to those things. It's like only my husband and my kids. I'm shy. And it's funny because I have a younger sister. She's 2 years younger and we're so opposite. She's always been that very free. Like she'll walk around me and my mom like, no bra, no underwear. And I'm just like, put some clothes on. Oh my goodness. And I would be in the dressing room, like, you know, with my mother. And I'm like, Mom, can you just give me a little privacy? She's like, Dorit, I birthed you. You know, you're my child. I've cleaned your tushy.
Does your family still live on the East Coast in Connecticut, like your sister and your mom and everybody?
My mom and my sister are in Florida now, and my brother is still in Connecticut, but I think he'll make his way to Florida.
And have they been featured on the show? Like at parties or anything?
My mom and dad definitely have. My sister, yeah, in a rare appearance when she came to visit me, and I think she was on there. My brother, no, no. But
And
my parents have, for sure.
do they like it? Did they enjoy watching it? Did they become protective of sometimes when you would get some heat?
Very protective. And it was really, really hard for me. My mother, she's like a little angel. She's never hated anyone her entire life. She doesn't even know what that feeling is. That's kind of strange, she's no matter, even if someone's mean, she's just like, oh, well, they're probably having a bad day. She's all heart. And the first couple of years, and when I had a lot of negative things said and hate, my poor mother had suffered so much from it, and I just kept saying, Mom, please don't read it, please don't read it. And she couldn't help herself, and she feels very protective, very defensive, they just, she doesn't feel like they portray me the way it is. I mean, I've gotten that a lot from people that really know me, that have known me for so long. I kind of don't think that they're really showing, a lot of the full you. And
Well, I think
so
they would show they'd show scenes like you getting your hair and makeup done, and then it would be like, may I see Jagger now? As if like that was the only time you saw him all day. And then you're
exactly.
like, okay, darling, go off with your nanny. And I think they wanted to try to show it that like, because it added to this, caricature of this
Yes.
girl that, married this English prince and has nannies and a glam squad. And that's what we
Yes.
did see for the first couple years. And so I
Yes.
do think that added to some of the negative reaction that you got, especially in the beginning.
Absolutely. And I really, I went back to the producers, so hurt and so upset. I said, you have so much footage. Balance it. I mean, that's why I've given it to you. I've given you everything. At least show the balance. Well, how could you do this? But at the end of the day, they have a job to do, and they're going to do it however they see fit. And so it's just, but that's definitely what has hurt me by far the most, because being a mom is so precious to me. And of course, I do have help. I'm a working mother, but my kids, they come first, and I have such a beautiful relationship with them. And I think it's a pity not to show that, and even us moving, even recently in one of the episodes, and I picked up the phone to the producer and I said, you had this beautiful scene of me and the kids when we came in. Jagger was singing, and we just walked into this brand new home that it was, for them, they're so little. They came from a home that they had spent their entire lives into a new one. And it was this really tender moment, and they were like dancing. We were all singing about this new home, and it was cute. And I thought for sure, it's on the show, and then it wasn't. It was cut to me and PK talking about the press. I was like, oh my God, I had those conversations because that's really what, they wanted. It's very simple.
Yeah.
So I do wish that there was, balance, but it's not, they're going to do whatever they want.
Yeah, they got to make it juicy and keep our interest. So it is, yeah. And I think people are starting to like understand that more. And I think that's why they kind of like the breaking of the fourth wall that we're seeing a little bit more, like the producer asking questions, or even, I mean, the dramatic ending of episode 1, telling what the season's going to be with the fallout of Denise, supposedly not filming anymore. And I know you can't like share much because we don't want you to get in trouble for doing any spoilers, but like, what can you tell us before we go that can get us excited?
I can say this, Heather. The season has a lot of twists and turns for sure. And I know you've heard that. There are definitely some bombs dropped, shocking bombs that nobody could have predicted, that shocked all of us. And, and then it becomes really intense, but there's definitely a buildup to that. It's not just one particular moment. It's definitely worth tuning into. And I think that having the new girls really added, another dynamic to the show. They both have opinions, and they're not afraid to share them. And I think that's great. But I mean, I think that, viewers have to tune in there. You're going to have those that believe this and those that believe that. And, and that's what makes a good show.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited, and I'm excited to do my Barbie reenactments. I have your girl right here.
I
I just
love those. They're so
I
good.
know this is kind of bold, but I just added a jacket just because you have the prettiest doll. Now she's a little paler than you. They don't look too tan right now, because she's the classic Barbie. And then Phoenix, I noticed though he doesn't have short hair anymore. Look,
Jagger. Yes. Jagger, I know. He's growing out his hair for, I know. What do we do there? I actually spoke to him this morning. I said, Jackie, your hair's turning into a bit of a mop, can I do something about it? He's like, no. He's feeling very much like the cool kid with this like long
I
hair.
love it. I love it. I know my kids need haircuts too, but we can't have so I mean, we're going to have to go do it ourselves because they actually don't like the hair in their eyes, but I like boys with longer hair. They look younger. Once they cut it, then it like all of a sudden again it's that weird like what the fuck's going on here? You look like a man. So keep that little
Totally.
baby
Boy,
hair. I know. Well, I
great.
I had such a good time talking to you. Thank you for being so open and honest and giving people like an insight. Oh, I have one last question. Did you have a big fancy wedding?
We had a beautiful 1920s Art Deco wedding at the Rainbow Room in New York City. And the really wonderful thing about that is that we really wanted to keep it to just our nearest and dearest, really our close friends, because my husband knows a ton of people and so on. We were living in California. We had already had Jagger. We were living in California. Our wedding planner was in the UK because he's someone that PK had worked with for many years. And we got married in New York City, mostly because we met and fell in love there. And my family were all East Coast and his family are in the UK. So it was a really good spot. And we could only have 200 people. So it was just absolutely perfect. It was, people that we love, and it was full of love, and it was really magical and really special and very us.
Have you ever shown pictures of that?
Yes, I have. My Instagram. I mean, thank God for my own personal Instagram because
Send me a photo. Send me a photo too. So when I promote the episode, I'll be like, swipe by, and this is her wedding day, and these are the things
perfect.
we talked about. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to, for sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's really cool. Well, I'm very excited for the season, and hopefully we'll get out of quarantine soon. And when can I expect my Beverly Beach Heather bathing suit?
We've got to come up with a really fabulous one. Leave it to me, okay? I've got it now. It's in the back of my mind.
Put it in the front of your mind. No, just kidding.
Front of my mind, front and center. I got it.
I'll come over to your modern farmhouse and hang out. We can go for a walk, stop by Kyle's.
Great.
Go get a Starbucks, go up in the hills of Encino, which are so pretty. And
Yeah.
we'll have our fun when we eventually can get out of this. And thank you so much for taking the time. And I'm excited everybody knows to watch on, you guys are Wednesday nights, right?
Wednesday night, 8 p.m., 7 Central.
Awesome. Thanks, girl.
Thank you so much, Heather. So good to talk to
Bye.
you. Take care. Stay safe.